Chapter 70. The need for spiritual freedom and a free will. The Lord. In spiritual matters of life, do beware above all of the Roman must, for that is at all times damaging rather than useful to man. For every must is a judgment, and does not allow any freedom, which in purely divine matters of life is the only well-fertilized field in which the seed of life can germinate, sprout, and finally develop into a blessed and mature fruit of life. If you take a recently hatched bird to feed it for strength and rapid flying, yet, good feeding notwithstanding, keep trimming its wings, say, will even the best feeding help him? The bird shall be subsisting for sure, but there shall be a problem with free flying until you stop trimming its wings. Just as the bird is incapable of flying without flying feathers, so also man's spirit cannot attain to a free life activity when his free cognition is trimmed by the sanctioned must. A spirit without freedom of action is dead, because he does not have what fundamentally conditions and comprises his life. For his mere terrestrial life sphere, you can give man 1,000 laws sanctioned under must, and you will harm man's spirit therewith far less than if you sanction him even one divine commandment terrestrially. The spiritual man must remain free and has to determine the sanction freely within itself, as also the judgment associated therewith. Only thus can it gain life's perfection in and out of itself. Free cognition of the good and true are the spirit's life light. Out of these, he then himself determines laws that appeal to him. These are then free laws, and the only ones harmonious to free life. The spirit's volition in accordance with his cognition is the free law within the spirit, and the necessity to eternally act in free will is the everlasting sanction in accordance with which no spirit surely act otherwise than in free volition. And behold, this also is the everlasting self-determining order in God, who surely has no lawgiver above himself. God's freest will itself, in accordance with the most perfect cognition and wisest insights within himself, determines the law, sanctioning it out of its very own, although admittedly free necessity. And this then is the basis of all created terrestrial things and continuance, insofar as this is essential for the development, solidification, and ultimate isolation of the spirit. The human spirit should, however, become perfect in himself and by himself, like the primordial Spirit of God is in himself and by himself perfect. Otherwise, the spirit is no spirit, but a judged death. So that the human spirit can become this, the opportunity must be offered to him to develop himself with time, just like the divine spirit in God himself has developed himself from eternity. Behold, since eternity I surely would have sufficient power to coerce all people with compellingly inner power to precisely act according to any given law, so that they are not able to deviate one hair's breadth from it. But then man would cease to be man, and he would be an animal just like any other in the large kingdom of animals. He would, of course, very precisely conduct his work, but regarding the work itself, you would discover just as little difference as with the work of cell-building bees and countless many other large and smaller animals. If you then wanted to develop such animal humans to something higher with your free recognition, you would achieve just as little with them as when it occurred to you to send the bees to a school, where they finally should learn to start building their cells in a better and more effective manner. Therefore, you should not judge the ability of man to sin so low, and not as too felonious, since without this ability to act against such given laws, man would be an animal and not a person. And I say to you, sin gives man the testimonial that he is human. Without it, he would be an animal,